Who's the most popular cookie in all of Cookie Run? There's a lot of ways to answer that. Which cookie gets talked about the most? Which cookie has the most stands? Who is the best cookie?
Cinnamon cookie is the best cookie!
Well, I was curious, so I decided to take as many approaches as I could to answer this question, in the hopes to come to one true conclusion. Side note, this video is just for fun, it's not exactly scientific. Take everything I have to say with a grain of salt and don't fight in the comments. Now let's start with what the players think. It's Timekeeper Cookie. Look, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, I'm not going to spend a long time getting around to this. Timekeeper Cookie has consistently won every Cookie of the Year event in Oven Break since she came out, as well as the most wanted cookie poll for Cookie Run Oven Smash. Now I know what you're thinking, that's it, right? It's settled. How do you get a better source for the most popular cookie than from the game itself? Well, what if I told you that Red Velvet Cookie, who isn't even in the top 20 for Kingdom's Cookie of the Year, gets more than 4 times as many Google searches as Timekeeper? Google Trends isn't really a scientific way of measuring popularity, but let's be honest, we're all a little interested in an arbitrary graph that tells you whether Minecraft or Roblox is winning. I was a bored kid in middle school, so I put every cookie into the site to see which one gets the most searches. To keep things fair, every search has Cookie Run appended to the end, so for example, if there were a chocolate chip cookie in Cookie Run, they wouldn't instantly get to the top from people who are just looking for the food. Now, Google Trends only lets you put in up to 5 searches at a time, but I can get around that by making a script to download the data, import it into a spreadsheet, get rejected by my peers, calculate the totals for the past 6 months, and sort it from top to bottom. And ta-da! We have a list. Why is Cream Cookie there? Gingerbrave is at the top, which isn't too surprising, I guess. Red Velvet Cookie could be here because of all the people who just want to eat actual red velvet flavored cookies, but it'd be pretty crazy if all those hungry people added Cookie Run to the end of their search. Dark Cacao is higher than I expected. And lastly we have Espresso and Almond Cookie. All of these are pretty popular cookies, so I find this metric to be pretty unbiased, except I still cannot figure out for the life of me why is the line exclusive Cream Cookie, who nobody ever thinks about, at the top of the list? The answer is almost certainly all the cookies who have cream in their name, combined with confused players. I checked to see if maybe clotted cream cookie searches counted as cream cookie searches, but there doesn't seem to be much correlation. However, when clotted cream cookie was announced, searches for cream cookie hit high for the year, implying that a bunch of people just didn't know clotted cream's name, which is extremely funny. If we disqualify cream cookie from this list, I'd honestly say this is a good unbiased measure of popularity. However, can we really say these cookies are the ones people think about and talk about the most? Twitter. The most refined place for discussion on the internet. Searching on Twitter is hard because a lot of people will just refer to a cookie by the first part of their name, because attaching cookie to the end every time is a lot of work.
No wonder why Gen Z can't keep a job.
So to keep whatever small amount of scientific validity this experiment has, I ran 2 queries. One with as little of the cookie's name as possible to only show results for that cookie, and another with the word cookie required to be somewhere in the search, save for the ones like Gingerbrave who don't have cookie in their name at all. For cookies that are at all common in real life, like strawberry or dark chocolate, I had to make it match the whole name to be sure people were talking about the Cookie Run character. But for the most part, a lot of the more exotic names like Sherbet Shark or Fire Spirit are usually talking about the character when searched for on their own. With those rules down, I wrote a quick bot that grabbed tweet counts from the Twitter API, fed it processed lists of the cookies' names, and organized it into, you guessed it, a spreadsheet. Sorting this spreadsheet from most to least, we get Hello Kitty. So adding Cookie to Hello Kitty's name, we get Gingerbrave. Not surprised since he doesn't have Cookie in his name to begin with, so he's not pegged on by any rule changes. Second place is Dark Choco Cookie, who does have quite a few fans on Twitter. Third is Licorice, oddly. Fourth is Pinecone, who, of course, is new, especially at the time of recording. And fifth is Fire Spirit. Despite being pegged to newer cookies, this one isn't nearly as affected by the fact that the data only goes back so far, and gives us a few more answers that might not have been considered before. Also, here's the second list I mentioned earlier where a cookie is required to be somewhere in the tweet. Number 4 is now Captain Ice Cookie, oddly, followed by Poison Mushroom Cookie in 5th place. If you're curious who the least talked about cookies are, it's a 3-way tie between Special Force Cookie, Prophet Cookie, and Pepperoncino Cookie. I don't know if I pronounced that right. I'm not much of a TikTok person. That's not because I'm some boomer who doesn't get the kids these days. Nah, I think this is the funniest shit ever. I just really never cared for this style of content, even when Vine and Musical.ly were still around. That said, I do have a TikTok. I post like 2 videos there a month, yet somehow it has almost as many followers as my much more active Twitter. Links to both of those in the description. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to analyze numbers. So I hooked a Python script up to the TikTok API and had it look for every cookie's name as a hashtag, then got the combined number of views for every video in that hashtag, then made it into yet another list. Now let's see, oh my god, again? Pure Vanilla Cookie is number 1, which isn't all that surprising. Then we have Herb Cookie, a lot of super fans, Sea Fairy Cookie, Ginger Brave, and Espresso Cookie. As far for the least TikTok cookies, that honor yet again goes to Special Force Cookie, although it's interesting to see that Blue Lily is the 10th lowest so far, despite being currently at 2nd place in Never Breaks Cookie of the Year competition. Honestly, this is the most realistic list I've seen so far, and while it's mostly Kingdom cookies, that isn't very surprising since Kingdom is where the social side of Cookie Run is, but I want something closer to the people who actually play the game. If you've ever used a wiki hosted by Wiki fandom before, you might have seen a popular page sidebar at some point showing the most visited pages on the site. Finally, a general resource actually used by players of the game. Alright, let's see here. Sherbet Cookie, the one who just came out? Of course. 4 of the 5 cookies here are new releases. Maybe the general Cookie Run wiki will be better. Lollipop Cookie? Really? She's not even high up on the Twitter chart, and that only goes back a week. Unfortunately, I can't really pull a more broad sample from this, as it seems to be pegged to some amount of recent page views. I asked the admin team for their internal analytics, and it seems like this goes back 30 days, but I can't call this anywhere near conclusive without access to months worth of data. But what if I were to use the wiki to make up a new metric that wasn't pegged to time? So earlier this year, I was looking for something involving cookies. Now I don't remember what it was, but all I remember is I searched for a cookie, didn't find what I was looking for, then copied another cookie's name to my clipboard, clicked the search bar, pasted it without clearing what was already there before, and boom, suddenly I stumbled upon something crazy. If you type 2 cookies' names into Google, it will show the one it thinks you'll click on at the top. Now, again, this is nowhere near scientific, but I thought it'd be interesting to use this to see what cookies Google thinks we'll like most. But how do we get there from only 2 cookies at a time? Well, meet the Cookie Run Character Sorter, a 99% accurate method of ranking every cookie from favorite to least favorite by picking from 2 at a time. I won't encourage you to fill this out yourself if you don't want to, since it can genuinely take hours to go through all the choices. But if you're curious on my favorites, I posted mine on Twitter, again linked in the description. Anyways, I wrote a bot and connected it to Google's custom search API to get the top wiki page for any 2 cookies. I also made it do a second search to check if the order changes when you search for them in opposite order, which should then be regarded as a tie. Now all we have to do is wait. Okay, so apparently the Google custom search API only lets you do 100 searches a day for free. I had to pay Google $7.44 to use their other API, which isn't limited. Other than that, you can only search 10 sites at a time, which doesn't really matter because we're only using the Cookie Run wikis. And now we wait, for real this time. Well, the top is a 16-way tie, including multiple bottom 10 contenders from the previous lists. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know why I thought this would work. It appears that this algorithm makes a lot of mistakes, but you can see how flawed the comparison is just by looking at how it picked an Oven Break Cookie, who hasn't had any new content since he came out in 2020, over Hollyberry Cookie. Let's try something else. You might have heard of a site called Tearmaker, which lets you make tier lists for pretty much anything. Side note, the guy who made Tearmaker follows me on Twitter for some reason. That's a video topic for another day. Anyways, there's a lot of Cookie Run tier list makers on there, and on top of that, a feature where you can see a sum of everyone's tier lists on the site, basically averaging it out, so the cookie that most people put in the S tier will be at the top. So here's a bunch of these tier lists, and what's at the top of them? Cookie Run tier list. The top cookie here is Moonlight Cookie. Interestingly, despite being mostly Oven Break cookies, Timekeeper's in 40th place on this one. Cookie Run Kingdom Characters card form November 30th update. This one's only Kingdom characters, so it's likely to give us a solid answer since Kingdom is so much more successful than Oven Break, right? Well, on this one, the top of S tier is taken up by Pure Vanilla Cookie. Again, 4 out of the top 5 are legendaries and ancients, so it shows at least some bias from the fandom. Cookie Run Kingdom characters, July 2022. This is slightly out of date, but it also has Pure Vanilla Cookie at the top. Maybe this is a common theme, and finally a conclusive answer? Cookie Run Kingdom Complete Cookie Tier List is Sea Fairy. Pure Vanilla is in 7th place. Oh my god, it's starting to seem impossible. Maybe there is no one way to determine the most popular cookie after all. Wait, maybe if I combine all of these into one ranking, I can finally get a conclusive answer. Alright, so here's how it's going to work. I've compiled 9 lists from all of these sources, and from their top 5 picks, I'm going to give each placement a point score. First place is 5 points, second place is 4 points, etc. Adding all of these up should give us an answer of some kind, even if it's not going to win any awards for statistic integrity. We'll start from the bottom of the overall top 5. In 5th place, we have Black Pearl Cookie. Not a huge surprise, although I'm interested to see if that'll hold up at all over time. In 4th place, we have Ginger Brave. Mascot of the series, has his own Twitter account. Makes sense to me. In 3rd place, oh my god, it's Timekeeper. See, I told you it wasn't her. I'm always right. Subscribe. Now we have a bit of a dilemma. Sea Fairy Cookie and Pure Vanilla Cookie have the same amount of points, so I'll have to run a tiebreaker to see which one of them is technically the most popular cookie. This, I believe, is where Google Trends can actually be used as a tool for analyzing individual issues. This time, with an entire year of search data, the popular cookie with the most searches is Pure Vanilla Cookie. Wow, I honestly didn't see that coming. Pure Vanilla Cookie, how does it feel to be the most famous cookie according to one YouTuber?
But I'm very popular.
Editing Syrupy here. I took so long to finish this video that Pure Vanilla got knocked down a peg on this, and also got knocked down a peg on the Cookie Run Kingdom wiki, so by default, Sea Fairy actually wins. Yay! You know, I should re-edit this to actually reflect that, but I've been working on this for too long. I'm just gonna release it. I've been Syrupy, and you've been,